All right, let's do it live on a First Friday Miracle edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. I am merely Beau. He is the great Z. How you doing, pal?
I'm doing very well. Very well. Got to smack the small ball around yesterday, which was a lot of fun, and feeling good.
What a time to be you.
It's great.
Just a man unfettered.
Yeah,
floating around.
I don't know about
doing
that.
What you need. Living your best. Well, just really living, though. You really are living.
I'm trying.
I think
I'm trying.
it's a lot of golf you've gotten in already. I don't even.
2 rounds.
Who knows?
Two
when
rounds
that's
in
gonna
2021.
happen.
I don't know if we're gonna call that crazy, but it's nice.
Dude, can we say officially on the record, and you and I are staunch critics of the weather that this state provides in certain times of the year.
A+ right now.
Can we say unequivocally that this is the greatest March in the history of Ohio? I believe that it is. I've been here since 2007. I've never had a better March weather-wise than this. You are now into, I want to say, your fourth week, your third pretty much full week. There could be some rain, a little bit of rain here and there tomorrow and into Friday, but I think you're into your third. You're basically 2.5 weeks of pristine. You had a little snow off the top.
I don't know if I agree with
March. That's it. And then it's been pristine for almost 3 weeks.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm going to go ahead and give you the full.
There's no way we've
days.
had a better March than this.
There was. Well, I don't
March
think
has
first
been a
half of March wasn't that
It
great.
was our third worst.
There was a good
No,
Sunday.
the first half was incredible. No. It was only the first couple of days because we got back from Florida by the Sunday, and it was great. And then whole next week it was great. And last week it was all great. And this week's been great. 2.5 weeks of great. We don't have that. It doesn't exist.
There was one
speaking.
year, and I've
never seen it.
How many years ago was it when there was like a stretch right around St. Patty's Day where it was like 80? I want to say it was like 8 years ago. It was somewhere in the 8 to 10 years ago range where there was like
very possible, but
unbelievable
also then
stretch.
probably the next week.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, but then also probably a week later, 2 feet of snow. Like we're not going to get snow. Snow's done.
All right, I'm going
Don't
through
you
the
jinx this, Bishop.
All right, here we go. I'm going through the historicals
Look at the 10-day.
right now. This is for this month. I'm going to give you the breakdown of March.
Give it to me. Give it to me.
Because I feel like I think it's good, and maybe I'll be surprised. Okay, here we go. March 1st, 53 and cloudy. 39.
That's okay. So let's set a parameter. Anything over that starts in a 5 as the high in March in Ohio is a win.
Without precipitation.
Thumbs up.
Without precipitation.
Correct. So
Okay,
I would
all
say
right.
that 53, that's a B+. That's a B day. That's an above average day.
So
Continue.
1, then 39, no. 54 and clear, 2. 34, no. So we're still 2. 36, no. 36, no. 36, no. 61 and cloudy, that's 3.
Now
March
we're going.
8th, by the way. 60, March 9th. That
Now
was
we're
that
going.
weekend. Yep, that's 4.
Now we're
69,
going.
5, 69, 6.
Yep.
57, but rain.
Let it go.
57, but rain. We're still
Still.
at 6. 45. Hold on, we're still at 6. 45, 40, 53. We'll count that one. So 7.
It's a win.
68, 48, no, and rain. 38, no. 53, yes, we'll count it. 63, yep. 9, 10. All right, so we're at 11 days through today's March 24th, so now we're at 12 out of 24.
You didn't hit one in the 70s. Like we almost got to 70.
I skipped the last 4. I just added them to the total. The last 4, I just added
them.
We were
to
at
the
8,
total. Okay.
and then we went 9, 10, 11, 12. So we're on a bit of a heater. So
we're
12 out
I
of
think
24.
It's as good as it gets.
12 out of 24. I feel like it felt like in your description,
Maybe we're just
I'm living at
starving
like
for it.
20 of 24, where I'm in Bishop land. But 12 out of 24 in March, we'll take it. 50 plus, no precipitation.
Yeah, I think
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll take
I'll
it.
take it.
I'll take it.
It's been largely good. One other thing I want to run past you. You know something that I have never been to the Italy. I know you've been to the Italy. My wife's been to the Italy several times. I've never been. And the one thing that I was, I always said, well, when we go, I love the history. We got to go to Rome. Got to go to Rome first. So I'm watching the Stanley Tucci series, which I put you on to
Yes, you did.
last week, the Finding Italy or whatever it's called. He's great.
Amazing.
Basically, he's like a funny Bourdain because his little mannerisms are pretty great.
He's got a little LD in him. There's a little LD in some of his
lot of
mannerisms,
LD.
which endears him to me.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yes, I enjoy him a great deal. So I watched the episode on Tuscany last night.
Oh, yeah.
So, of course, I think of the maestro from Seinfeld and the house in Tuscany, and there are no houses available, and Jerry's trying to get a house and all that. So that comes to mind. And then the other thing, then I started to think to myself, and I don't know how I did not put this together. And this is an incredible failure of me, an admission of my own ignorance. And it's a big admission.
Okay.
I never put together that Florence was Tuscany.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the crown jewel of Tuscany. Yeah, it's a huge miss.
Pretty big miss.
That is the center of Tuscany.
Pretty big miss.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Right. It's like saying, well, I didn't know Munich was in Bavaria.
Right.
That's kind of what it's like. I never put it together. Like I'm certainly aware of Florence and the history and all of that, but I did not realize that's the capital, dummy.
Yeah.
So when I see this thing last night, and I'm so of course Florence, and we're countryside, and we're wines, and we're all this.
Yes.
And I'm like, God, this is
Super
it's Xanadu.
Tuscans.
It's everything you'd want.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So what I wanted to ask you as someone who's been there, because now when we go to Italy, we're going there first.
Of
and
course.
if we get to Rome, I don't even really care. Like we're going there
No,
first.
you want to see it. The Colosseum you want to see it.
Sure.
But it's better than Venice
a
still
scene.
for food. I think it's still better than Venice for food. I found anyway, but not. I mean, Tuscany's all time. Like that is all time.
Yeah. So, again, acknowledging my own ignorance. So,
You're forgiven.
he sits down, and they eat a type of beef that he eats raw.
Okay.
And the beef is so tender and the meat is so good that it is, according to them, it's safe to eat raw. It's an Italian breed of cattle that is safe to eat raw.
Like a
And I'm
steak or
curious
like a
during your-
carpaccio?
No, a steak. Like they cut a fillet and they put salt on it and a little olive oil and they ate it raw, and it was allegedly safe to be able to do that. And I said, well, sure, I'm sure it was. And I'm curious if you've had this type of beef.
No.
Okay. All right.
Never even heard of such a thing.
I was fascinated by it. And then there was a way that they did these enormous, like bone-in ribeyes.
Yeah.
That
Bistecca
was
alla
just
Fiorentina.
incredible to see.
Yeah, a little bistecca
It was
alla
incredible.
Fiorentina, a little olive oil, a little salt, pepper, maybe a sprig of rosemary on it, and then little squoze of lime at the end.
They were using olive branches on the flame to create the flavor.
Sure.
But I was blown away by it, because his entire tour has been, in my mind's eye, how I viewed Italian food, which has been primarily pasta and bread, and everything's with the tomato, like everything.
Yeah.
And there was that in Tuscany too. But all of a sudden Tuscany opened up some other things that wasn't in the other parts of the country.
Tuscany is incredible. And so you go to Florence and you can get out there. So many little towns. Siena has got an unbelievable Duomo, and they have these crazy races that they do there, which is very cool to go to. But Tuscany is like, if you could, there's under a Tuscan sun. Yeah. That's why they make those movies about Tuscany and romanticize it. There aren't.
But I never. Of course, I was aware of the beauty of it. I just never put together.
Florence is the crown jewel.
That's the same trip.
Yes.
Correct. That's the same trip. I always felt like Tuscany was the country, and
no,
it's the same.
Listen, it is.
Nay. Yeah,
when you know what you don't know, you can correct it. The dangerous people are those who don't know what they don't know. That's when it gets dangerous. So now you knew what you didn't know, and guess what? You fixed it, and now you know it. And you're going to –
I always felt –
Florence is incredible. I went to a place, and who knows if it's even still – who knows. It was so long ago. It was 20 years ago that I was in Italy. But Acqua al Due, I won't ever forget that restaurant, was one of the best. And I got my primi was a pasta sampler. And so you just basically you didn't pick whatever 5 pastas were ready to go at that time. You got a little taste of all 5 that were going out of the kitchen. Just unreal. I mean – unbelievable. And the bistecca alla Fiorentina, you get some super Tuscans going. It's and that place, it's unbelievable. Florence is unbelievable.
That's where it's at.
Yeah.
Yep. Good job. All right. Well, so there we go. And I thought you'd appreciate that, because you'd always said Tuscany, and that solves it right there. Let's get into the OBM Hot Topics. Ohio Business Street Preferred Copy Provider, your Cleveland Browns, all the X's and O's for your office. You can call 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. Gibbe wants to know, through 1 week of free agent, what's the one position that's been improved the most, and what's the one position that still needs a few bodies? One for each. Clearly, safety improved the most.
That's what I would say.
I mean, you went from I don't know what necessarily is going to happen on a week-to-week basis to we may have as good a safety group, if healthy, as there is in the league.
I agree. I would say safety would be the obvious one to me. The other would be defensive tackle, and that's because of getting Billings back. So you Billings and Malik Jackson basically for Ogunjobi and Vincent Taylor. And that's not a disrespect to either of those two who played very well for the Browns, but I think you believe your ceiling is higher now at with those guys in that interior defensive line rotation. But yeah, I think safety's the answer. You bring in John Johnson the third, and you get Grant Delpit back. I mean, that feels like a huge win to me. And then, what's the one position that still needs a few bodies? And I don't know why he even feels the need to say this. One Zegura, not two. Because the real answer is there are two. I'll give one. You can give the other. Cornerback and
defensive end.
Right.
Yeah.
And frankly,
need one of each.
That might be the only things that you need to still address on your roster.
Let me pose this question to you.
Oh, please.
Because we've been talking about this since, I think last Friday. Andrew Berry's going to be able to go to the draft not needing anything. You can you could throw a team out there right now, and it's better than it was a year ago on paper. Sure. Yeah, we know we need another defensive end. We know we need a corner, but you don't need him to start. You don't need franchise cornerstones. You can have people who develop. So if I were to pose the question this way to you, how would you answer it? Forget about position. What traits do you think Andrew Berry will be looking for at 26?
Game-changing, and so to me that is speed, right? So speed either to get to the quarterback, speed to cover somebody in the secondary, or speed to create space horizontally and vertically on offense. I mean, I think that's just that's the nature of the game right now is speed. I will say I feel like corner – I want somebody starting caliber added to that corner room.
I agree.
And I think, you want a veteran or somebody, to be added to the defensive end room as well, but that could be a rookie. It depends. I feel I want to see Greedy. And the fact is,
I think that's fair.
Neither one of our starting corners have started more than 12 games in a season at any point in their career. And by my math, that leaves a quarter of the season unaccounted for that needs to be accounted for. Now, one thing they would be curious to know, and I think they'll know this more when they get on the field and they see how Grant is, see how Greedy is. But, let's say, tomorrow, with the roster exactly as it is, that Greedy wasn't able to go. Okay, we're not adding anybody, just as we are now.
As we are.
Would the move be to kick Troy Hill outside and play Grant at nickel, or play John Johnson at nickel because he can do that? Or would the plan be to keep Troy inside, play MJ Stewart or AJ Green or Robert Jackson, Brian Allen outside? That would be – I'm curious how they view the safeties, because if we're going to have three safeties on the field out, they're going to be playing in the slot quite a bit. But I just think we need – like right now my head has gone to the point where 26 and then your second-round pick – feel like corner defensive end or defensive end corner. I think you could be fine if defensive end is not amongst those two picks.
Yeah.
I don't know that you, with corner not being amongst them, if you feel as good, assuming there isn't a veteran or somebody added in free agency that you say, that's my next guy up outside.
Let me throw this scenario at you. If you're at 26, and this is what I think that Andrew Berry has bought himself. If you're sitting there at 26, and let's just say, and I'm just going to use this name, this isn't scores, I'm just using the name. Let's say Rashard Bateman pops up at 26, and he's a big dude, great hands, stud, elite catch radius, all that stuff. He pops up at 26. My hunch is that you would be able to say, while we need a corner and a defensive end into that room, this opportunity is such that we don't have to be pigeonholed. We can get a corner in the second round, or we can get a corner and a defensive end in the third. This is somebody who, and again, I'm not saying this is how they view Bateman. I'm just saying, hypothetically, if that's a guy, do we need any more receivers? No. But if a special one were to drop, and fall into your lap, and he has traits that you don't currently possess, and Bateman would, can you take that and say, we'll figure it out somewhere else? I think that's what Andrew Berry has bought himself.
I'll even turn it in a different phrase, getting at the exact same point. Let's say whoever it is, regardless of the position that they play, that the guy who's 10th on your board is for some reason there at 26, you absolutely can take it.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's it. That's the freedom of it.
Yes, you are certainly in that position. I do think this receiver class depth says to me, and this is just based on stuff that I've been seeing and reading, not based on any scores whatsoever, but it feels like you can get somebody with a skill set that is different than what you currently possess, and that could be a game changer for you in round 2, maybe even in round 3 at that position, at receiver.
No question.
And
no question.
I
mean, Rondale Moore ran at a speed that is
Moore,
like Tyreek
Tutu
Hill
Atwell,
speed.
Tony. There's so many. The kid from Carolina.
There's a lot of them.
A lot of these guys that are really, really good. Again, doesn't matter. Now, the point you're making is, can we take the best player available at 26 and be fine? Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The corner, pass rusher, receiver. I think receiver is really our third biggest need. And the reason I say that is, for 2021 in a bubble, not a need. Now, maybe you want to inject some speed. Now, hopefully Odell does that. But, even to have somebody that is like a Tutu Atwell, that it can be like the McCole Hardman in our offense.
Yep.
That changes a lot of things and changes what defenses can do to us. But 2021, you can run that back on offense, especially at the receiver position. Mm-hmm. Odell's back.
Yep.
Jarvis is back. Hollywood is back. Donovan Peoples-Jones is back. Kaderil Hodge is back. You can run that back without any hesitation. But when you look ahead, and I think this is a very smart group that we have operating the show here, they're not thinking 2021 only. They're thinking 2022, 2023. And that's where getting a premier talent at that position makes sense, because you don't know who's going to be here in 2022. And if your top 3 guys are Odell, Jarvis, and Higgins, there aren't guarantees for those guys to be here. Richard's contract will be up. OBJ's and Jarvis's are, certainly in different situations. And we're very clear on the fact that we want Jarvis Landry to be a Brown for the entirety of his career.
Yes.
But I think with the Hollywood and then OBJ, you're not sure how that's going to play out with what his salary cap number would be. I do think succession planning at that position is important. And so, I see corner and defensive end as our top 2 needs right now going into the draft. And third, as I love to say, and I'm glad that you enjoy this one as well, third might as well be 8th. But
third's 8th.
I do think third being 8th is receiver, and then I think everything else is 100th. But if there's somebody at one of those positions that is so high on your board that you think is a star, you can take them at 26.
Take them.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. No, it's an incredible amount of freedom that he's bought, though. I think that's the lesson here, kids, when you think about that draft, which is coming up in a little bit over a month. We will go around the league next, take a deep dive into the Browns' offense coming up. Oh, better or worse is back?
Oh,
unbelievable.
Better or worse.
What a joy. What joy. It's a First Friday miracle. What a time to be alive.
Yes.
Welcome in. Lots of fun still to have on the program. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Beau Bishop for my great friends at Weather Seal Home Services. Need a roof replacement? Would you like to replace your roof for the last time? Well, that's the benefit of choosing a metal roof from Weather Seal. Metal roof technology, materials, styles, colors, they've improved significantly, making them beautiful, nearly indestructible, and affordable. Plus, with a new metal roof, Weather Seal includes 6-inch gutter upgrades and up to 7 years, 0-interest financing. That's right, 7 years, 0 interest. Call my guys, 877-351-SEAL, or visit WeatherSealHomeservices.com, WeatherSealHomeservices.com. This from Chris Mortensen here just in the last couple of minutes. Potential labor strife in the NFL when it comes to the offseason. Actually, Kevin Seifert of ESPN with the tweet, as telegraphed in December, the NFLPA is pushing for another virtual NFL offseason. League wants it back to in-person. Could hinge on testing protocols. Obviously, this is a nuanced conversation, to say the least, with a lot of layers and details to it. I see both sides of it. Certainly would understand the NFL side of, hey, there's real value here. We missed a year ago. We really need to get you guys on the field. We need to be able to install the things you want to install, and I don't think you can minimize the value. I can also understand the player standpoint of, hey, we don't know where we are yet still with this pandemic, and we don't have an answer on that. So I can see both sides. I think this is a tricky one.
It's definitely a tricky one. And for the players, your argument here is we just put on a great product. We delivered a great full season for you. The play was at a very high level. We don't need this practice. You know, Allen Iverson's probably right up there beside J.C. Treader screaming practice at Roger Goodell. But when you think about the NFL as a whole, when you think about, undrafted free agents and rookies and their development and their ability to make rosters, a lot of that work happens in OTAs and carries into training camp and allows people to get big understandings. You want your free agent signings to be up to speed. People say, well, it happened last year. We had new offensive and defensive systems. We won 4 out of our first 5 games. True. All true.
Mm-hmm.
I do think, though, there are definitely benefits to OTAs. Having been able to be around it and see development and see things that happen in OTAs, there's a great value in the OTAs and the mandatory minicamp. And now, could they reach a compromise where it's, hey, we're going to – see, the problem is you can't come in and just throw together a week of minicamp practices. That's not a compromise because the players, and rightfully so, are going to say we need a ramp-up period. So even to have a 1 week of minicamp is probably a 3-week process of coming in, working out here, doing nothing but conditioning. Then you maybe work into the classroom, and then you can get onto the field for a week before you come back for a training camp. Because remember, they call it an onboarding. There was that onboarding time before training camp a year ago.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I think it's clear what the league wants, what the players want. My guess is we come up with, as Larry David would say, a compromise where nobody's happy, but there will be some off-season on-the-field work, getting guys on the grass, and then you'll get into, training camp will be normal. I'm sure that they will be using this as leverage to eliminate as many preseason games as possible. No one for sure will be gone, but maybe even the players might try to get 2 of them gone. Clearly, the product last year says that the old way you were doing it is not the only way to produce a good product. That also being said, how you can double down at 17 against the dealer showing an ace and pull a 4 and hit 21 and they, end up at 20 and you win. But that doesn't mean it was the right thing to do over and over and over again. Like this was a 1-year study in this way of doing things. So I don't think you can say, without qualification that we can do this every year and have the same result.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think that's why the job of J.C. Treaders is really the hardest in all of sports union, because what you hit on from an undrafted free agent, from a low-round draft, those guys, trying to represent those guys and Patrick Mahomes, the discrepancy is the biggest it is in any sport. So it's an impossible thing. You take it, you add in non-guaranteed contracts. It's the reason that it's the least powerful of the unions, is it's just too hard to represent all of that. And so that's the tricky part going forward. I agree with your point. I'm sure they will find a way to have some compromise on all of this. and we'll see what it is, but certainly worth following going forward. As we go around the league, Tampa Bay, it's funny, everybody thinks people are in trouble with the cap. There's a million, it's really just there. Like, there's a million ways around it, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did it. They're pretty much going to run everybody back.
Yep.
Ndamukong Suh, the latest to return. And my guess is they get Antonio Brown back, too. They're going to be able to pull all of it off and basically run everybody back.
Yeah, which, why wouldn't you want to? They're running it back. So are we on offense. We're running it back. We want to improve our defense. We've made significant changes on that side of the football.
Yep.
So, yeah, that makes. If I'm the Bucks, that's what I would want to do. And because you have Tom Brady, you can do it. Although I feel when I keep seeing these numbers, like Gronk at 10 a year and Ndamukong Suh at 10, they're paying these guys pretty well, which goes to your point that the salary cap is not a cap.
It's nonsense.
Yeah.
No, it's not a cap. It's definitely not a cap. It doesn't even make sense to me how they're doing it. So, but they are, and I also think with them, there's this feeling of, we really didn't get a whole lot of time to play our best ball. Remember, for much of this season, up until the bye week, they were the highest ceiling, lowest floor team in the league. I'm sorry, they had the lowest floor of the highest ceiling team in the league. Does that make sense?
Yep.
They would look incompetent some weeks,
Listen,
completely incompetent.
I was never worried.
And then they had the bye, and then it flipped. I mean, they got smoked twice by the Saints. Like, it was just, they were a weird team to sort out. So I understand them saying, hey, something clicked with us in the bye week. Let's see what this can be over the course of a season. Let's see how good we can be. And you just won it, so it validates it.
Well, two things. One, it was after the Kansas City game that Brady told everybody on the team, we're not losing ever again. They didn't. Narrator, they did not. They went on to win every remaining game of the regular season and the playoffs and win the Super Bowl. But so see what you said there, right? Take the Bucks, for example. Bunch of new pieces coming together. No off season to gel. No off season for Tom Brady and Bruce Arians to feel each other out and what really works with Tom in this offense. Could that have been a team that had they had a full off season, they didn't have any of that nonsense in the early portion of the year?
The counter to that would be us, who was young and we didn't need any of it, and we were good almost immediately.
Well, you could make that case. You could also say in your first 6 games of the season, you played 2 teams of real consequence. Both of them throttled you. And you had the Washington football team, the Bengals.
Are you trying to say that Kevin Stefanski wasn't prepared?
No, he was absolutely prepared.
It seems like that's what you're saying, that you're trying to say that the Cleveland Browns were not prepared to start this season. That seems to be, and that would seem to be an indictment of our head coach.
It's not what I'm saying. And number 2, what I was going to say, if you allowed me to finish my point, was, but after the bye week,
I see your point. No, it's all valid.
Playoff teams and looked significantly better against higher caliber opponents.
Yes. Yeah, I do think, and we predicted, if you think back, buddy, the shows we did a year ago in August, everybody around the league was kind of acknowledging we're going to wade into this. And this isn't going to be particularly sharp out of the gates. And maybe because we set the bar so low, it exceeded what we thought it would be, and that doesn't necessarily mean it was the way that we perceived it to be.
And don't forget, we were the anomaly. If you looked at all the other first-year head coaches around the league, the new coaching hires, they were all dreadful in the first 6 weeks of the season. Dreadful. Yeah. But that's why we have the coach of the year here. He's got the 3 Ps. Yeah. So, of course, I wasn't saying that he wasn't prepared. That's one of the 3 Ps, Beau.
It's one of the 3 Ps, Beau. It's what we do.
Come on.
It's a pancake breakfast. Yeah. Do it once a month. Ryan Kerrigan visiting the Bengals today. Gibby wants to know, should the Browns make a play for the veteran?
So Ryan Kerrigan is a guy that could fit that, veteran edge rusher that you could bring in and I think could be a very nice piece. Here's his sack totals. And now let me ask you if anybody had this. Ryan Kerrigan, here's his sacks by season. 7.5, 8.5, 8.5, 13.5, 9.5, 11, 13, 13, 5.5, 5.5.
Okay.
He's never been below 5.5 sacks in a season. And prior to the last 2 years, he had never been below 7.5 sacks in a season. He is a consistent threat to the quarterback. And last year his snaps were way down in Washington, but I think Ryan Kerrigan is definitely somebody that would fit that bill if they deem him a scheme fit. He had done most of his work as a 3-4 outside linebacker. Last year he played more 4-3 DN for the football team. But I thought, Ryan Kerrigan's a guy that has been a productive pass rusher in this league for a very, very, very long time. A very long time. And he typically, generates a lot of quarterback pressures, sacks, hits, hurries, all of it. So he's somebody that I certainly would be interested in because he's the kind of guy that I also think, just like he was working opposite Chase Young last year, but he didn't get to play as much because they had Chase Young and what was the other guy? Montez Sweat.
Yeah.
They were loaded up front. So he was more of a sub-package guy, but pass rush grade at Pro Football Focus of 68.8, 16 pressures, 6 sacks, 10 hurries. The year before, 30 But he's a guy who's produced more than 50 pressures every year in his career prior to the last 2. So if you think about him in a situation opposite a guy like Miles, I think he could still be pretty darn good for you. So, yes, I would
His profile fits like a glove.
Yep.
Veteran, leader, situational, first-rounder. Power 5 school, all of the things you're looking for, it fits for what that, if you're going to add somebody, this is similar to Clowney. These type of players, this fits what you think, that's a 1 year, come in here, let's have a little fun for a year and see what it's like. That it fits. So it would fit in that way for sure. Corner K'Wan Williams back to San Francisco on a 1 year deal. There was his name was bandied about here from time to time. Do you think that you think that there is a corner that – do you think that's where we are now? If you're Andrew Berry, you're looking on the corner and on the defensive end on a 1 year, hey, the market ain't what you thought it was going to be. Come in here, let's take a look.
That's what you're looking for at defensive end and a corner. Absolutely. And you could still add a veteran to both of those spots, but you're getting, down to the point with the deals that you've handed out that you don't want to make too much more of an investment. You still have your draft picks, et cetera. And I do think that, we're not a team that needs to draft 9 guys. Nine rookies aren't making this team. So I think we have some flexibility to move up or to push picks into the future. And I'll be interested to see how we maneuver around the draft and what the number of players we select ultimately ends up being. I think that will be a fascinating thing to watch. But, you're looking for somebody who now says, okay, the market isn't what I thought it would be. I'll come to you guys for 1 year at a good rate. And let's go win a Super Bowl. And the fact that we're a team that can be in that position is one of the great developments of 2020 and 2021. But it's true. That's who we are. That's where we are. That's what we deserve to be.
Yep, absolutely. So this is an interesting Q&A with Patriots linebacker Kyle Van Noy, compliments of our buddy Mike Reese. The question, what's the difference between Brian Flores, linebackers coach, and Brian Flores, head coach? Kyle Van Noy, no comment.
Clearly did not go the way he wanted it to there, out after a year, after signing a big free deal, back with the Patriots. So no comment there, says he changed, and I was not a fan of his changes. Dolphins were a pretty good football team.
When you're a position coach, you balance between, instruction, mentor, sometimes borderline friend.
Definitely.
Right? When you're the head coach, that's not in play. It's not going to be the same. It's not going to – there's – no way for it to be the same. This is actually the first thing I've ever heard negative about Flores, the head coach, though. Most people really like him. And so this is the first time.
I'll tell you something negative.
This is also somebody who knew him before.
Switch into Tua and then feeling like in important moments late in the game you need to play a different quarterback.
Touche.
There's a criticism for me.
But is that his call or is that general manager call on that? And if it is, then it's a problem all the way around, whatever it is.
I believe it's
it's a big problem. That was really one of the most bobbled things. You're right. I'd forgotten about how badly that was handled. God, that was awful.
You need to go beat the Raiders at the end. In the end of the game, you're like, let's go get Mariano Rivera in here because our starter's not that great.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah, that was bad. That was bad, certainly. Happy birthday to Peyton Manning. He is 45 years young today. I believe him to be, and you coined him this, and I think you have it, the greatest regular season quarterback in NFL history.
Yeah, which I feel like comes out as a slight, not meant as a slight whatsoever. Just based on how
actually
good,
pretty big praise.
I think it is, and based on how good he was in the regular seasons, you would have expected, and how many times he was the 1 seed, that he would have won more Super Bowls. He didn't, but I don't think that in any way diminishes what he did. And you could make the case, we say Brady's the greatest quarterback ever because of his longevity and because of the Super Bowls. But you could certainly make the case that Peyton Manning is the greatest quarterback ever. I think you will run into significantly less pushback by throwing regular season on there, which, by the way, is what these guys get paid to be. You get paid to dominate the regular season and ultimately, yes, bring home a Super Bowl, but your salaries are based on playing 16 games.
When he and Brady were in their prime, by his peers and by the media, he was consistently judged better than Brady.
Yes.
If you were picking a quarterback during the two of them playing together in their primes, overwhelmingly, his peers and the media picked Manning.
So you and I,
it's a hard thing to wrap your head around, but when you start doing like his resume, he's a 5-time MVP, most ever. Like, how many All-Pros is he? 10?
I know
8?
the answer, so I'm going to tell you this right now. So,
do you? It's high.
Both are 14-time Pro Bowlers.
Yep.
One is a 7-time first-team All-Pro. One is a 5-time MVP. The other, is a 3-time MVP, 3-time All-Pro, first team.
Yeah. So Manning's the first and Brady's the last.
Manning as first-team All-Pro and MVP totaling 12. Brady has that totaling 6. Now, if you were to add in first-team All-Pros, MVPs, and Super Bowl wins.
Yep.
Peyton's at 14. Brady's at 13.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Peyton Manning's numbers for his career, they're ridiculous. He was ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Him warming up is one of the coolest things I've ever seen in sports. Being on the field for him warming up in a pregame. The precision of it was, in his prime with Indy, was just absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible to watch. He never missed by an inch.
It's fascinating
Ever.
to me that he has more MVPs than Brady has first-team All-Pros. He has more first-team All-Pros than Brady has All-Pros and MVPs.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, that's
what's a tricky thing is.
So is he not
that
the greatest ever?
rectifying that in your head? Well, that's how you always go to Super Bowls, but it's football's such an interesting spot. It's the most important position, but you don't play defense. You're not the coach. You're orchestrating a game plan. It's a tricky conversation, and Manning has gotten completely lost in the conversation in the last 5 years. Like, it's not really even a name who comes up anymore is him. So that's the interesting part of it. And unlike Marino and Elway and Favre and the others, he has the hardware.
Yep.
Like, he has the first team All Pros. He has the MVPs. And Favre's, I think, got 3 MVPs. But, I mean, he's got 5. I mean, so it separates, certainly. We will take a look at our offense after free agency, and it looks a lot like it did a year ago. We will get into that and what this offense can be in 2021. That is coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Winter weather devastating on your home. It is time for you to call the pros at Perfect Power Wash. Dirt, mold, algae, they accumulate on the exterior of your house and they lead to costly damages. PPW's safe process professional techs, they help remove those contaminants, keep your house looking protected. You can call the pros today at 888-860-WASH. Save 10%. Take advantage of priority scheduling on that as well. The whole process couldn't be easier, guys. One call does it all. The professionals at PPW will provide you with a free quote and schedule your service. If you want a perfectly clean home this spring, call the pros at 888-860-WASH or visit perfectpowerwash.com. And remember, the early bird gets the savings. So call 888-860-WASH today. Use the promo code BEAU. Save 10%. Do it today. 888-860-WASH. Take care of it, kids. You know you need to. Time for a little deep dive on our offense 1 week into free agency. What's the most important signing on this offense? Well, it's a short list, my friend.
Yeah, I would say it's a re-signing because that's it. That's the list. It's Hollywood Higgins coming back and Greg Senat, you could say the tackle prospect that the Browns liked, who was plucked off the practice squad and went to Dallas. But that's it. Those are the additions there, and I think getting Hollywood Higgins back is huge. Hollywood, that chemistry he has with Baker Mayfield, just his reliability, his hands, his route running, his understanding of the offense, his work ethic, all of it is why we're thrilled that Hollywood's back. That's definitely the most important signing.
Well, that's an easy one. This one a little bit more interesting. What is the biggest position of strength on this offense?
Running back.
There's a lot of them.
Running back.
More than line?
Running back. Yeah, I think that our line, those would be the top two, right? I mean,
they're the best.
They're the best.
The best offensive line and the best running back room in the NFL.
Right.
So, they're
it's
both
tough, but I don't think that anybody
so
has what we have. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, you can't. Nobody has that. And if
who in the league would be in the who would be close? And Dearness was good. Who would be close to us at running back? And I'm just throwing that on you. I'm just trying to rack my brain around the league. Like, who would I think of and go?
I'm trying to think who has.
They're set up.
I mean, the Ravens
really
feel really
isn't.
good about Dobbins, what he showed, and Gus Edwards, but that's not Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt.
They're not.
The Raiders now have.
The Saints used to have it.
Yes,
but
that's the closest. Ingram and Kamara in their prime. The Raiders, Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake, but that's not in our world.
No. A healthy McCaffrey and whatever they're doing in Carolina.
Well, it's McCaffrey.
But there's not a duo.
Right.
We have 2 of the top 10 running backs in the league.
Correct. No lies detected. Right. I mean, it would be the answers would be those backfields as good as ours would be Dalvin Cook and Madison, right? It would be Derrick Henry and Jeremy McNichols.
Heavy.
Okay.
Right. Right. But it's
one
one guy doing the heavy lifting and then just his backup. It's not 2 A-listers, which
Correct.
is what we have. Yep. It is. It's incredible. But you think about this offensive roster, and you think about what Baker was after the Cincinnati game, and really the last 3 quarters of the Cincinnati game, and you think you're running it all back. I mean, our tight end room we're bringing back the Chief. We're incredibly strong at tight end. Our wide receiver room, you'd like to add a little speed to it, but my goodness, incredibly strong. Like this is such a good roster across the board, and the offense is certainly the strength of this team.
Yeah. And I talked with Drew Petzing, our tight end coach. I said, man, you're getting to run your whole room back, 1 through 4. And he said, it's crazy. He said, maybe, that happens sometimes with tight end rooms, but not when you have guys like Hooper and the Chief and Harrison Bryant, that you don't usually get to bring back that talented of a trio year after year after year. And so he's very excited about it. But, we're set. We're running it back. We are. You're running it back completely. Yeah. And I don't know. Here's one for you. And Gribbs mentioned this earlier today when I was called in out of the pen for the BPA when they said they put the Clooney symbol up and
Clooney.
And I had to get in there. There it is, Gibby. We'll run back our top 3 running backs 3 years in a row. I don't know who does that in the NFL. 3, the same 3. Look, and maybe Dearness faces they draft a running back later on because you do have to, at running back, ultimately one day think about succession planning, and the notion that you're going to be able to pay Kareem and Nick Chubb forever I don't think that's possible.
Correct. Yeah. No, it's a remarkable thing. Which position got the biggest boost from the past week? There's only one. I mean, it's the same.
Yeah, same. I like that question though. That's one of those. That's a provocative one.
Give me the top two positions that this team needs to address before we get to training camp. None. I think you'd love to add some future planning at receiver, and I think there's a lot of speed and talent at receiver in this draft, and I would love to get a burner or a guy with unique traits in that room.
Right. I don't think you have a need. I think you're looking for a backup tackle, and maybe you could say, well, we got that. Greg Sinat's back. We've got Chris Hubbard already. I mean, it's going to be hard to make this roster on the offensive line and the interior with Nick Harris here, and Forbes is coming back, and we've got a lot of versatility and veterans in there. But, yeah, all you could say is I need one more swing tackle to replace Kendall Lamb, and I would like speed in the receiver room. That's it. That's the list.
What do you think, on another side of this, what do you think is the one, if you have to pick one thing, get into Kevin Stefanski's head, which is tough to do, what's the one thing that he wants to do better offensively?
I think there are a couple things that he wants to do better offensively. I think he wants more chunk plays. I think he felt that in the past game they did not have the explosive plays with the frequency that he wanted. And so I think he wants more chunk plays in the passing game. I think that he wants to, upon, going back and looking through things, Browns were one of the most effective empty teams in the NFL. So I think we're going to do more empty. And I think the Browns were also one of the best screen teams in the NFL, even though it was really underutilized until really we didn't start throwing screens, I feel like, until maybe Jacksonville. When we we throw some here or there, but Jacksonville, we pulled out the screen to ice the game.
Later in the game.
You think about the screen that, against the Steelers that got it done, but we were not as good as we were for running the screen. We did not dial it up all that much. And so I think that those would be some of the things. But I think chunk plays is probably the number one thing that he wants more of, more explosive plays. And by the way, we were like top 5 in the league in explosive plays. I mean, I was charting that all the time.
Yeah.
So, but you love that, right? You love that that's what he feels, he's not satisfied. He wants to continue to get better. And I think, we were going through, remember when we played the Chiefs and you'd go through all those stats and how did you beat them? You had to out big play them. And in that game, we didn't.
Yep.
We did not.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was it. And there's some of the things you can do schematically and some that you could do. That's the reason when you had the line of the day coming out of the Chiefs game. It was speed, speed, speed. You've added it defensively with John Johnson and look to continue to do that. And offensively, if there's a way to do that in the draft, and I think there will be. I think you're going to be able to do that in the draft and add a guy. I like using the McCole Hardman analogy. That's exactly what you're looking for, is a guy who, 5 times a game can run a 9 route. You hit 2 of them a game or 1 of them a game. Just the threat of it.
Yep.
It adds an element that currently you do not have. If you're obsessing over something like football, it can be a problem. If you're obsessing over gambling, it can be dangerous. Let's do something to take your mind off it. If you want some tips on what that could be, go to keepitfunohio.com for great ways to keep gambling fun. All right, we need to do a Ohio Lottery Keep It Fun poll today. Is this the greatest March in Ohio history?
I like it.
Weather-wise. Climate, is this the greatest March in the history of Ohio?
I was just going to do something simple for you and just say, what's the biggest position of strength on offense? But
no, this is better. This is better.
I like how you're trotting out. You're pretty bold on the March, Cotton.
They're all strong. First of all,
I can't think of one better. Usually it sucks. Usually it just rains.
Get the question in right now while it's 70 and sunny. Right. The rain's coming tomorrow, so get the question in right now.
Get it in right now.
Right now.
Get it in right now. The only other thing I was thinking of, be honest, did you know Florence was the capital of Tuscany? That was the only other one I thought about. Did you know that? Going in, before we discuss it at the top of the show. Answer honestly. State school kids only. That's the way to handle that. All right, so that is we will get that to you. That's brought to you by Ohio Lottery. Go to keepitfunohio.com on that front. The return of better or worse.
Yes.
That's right. Power rankings.
Let's
and
go.
Pure joy. Cleveland Razzali, 850 ESPN Cleveland. If your Social Security benefits have been denied, call the disability lawyers at 1-800-ELK Ohio. Elk & Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time for a little game we like to call Better or Worse.
Yeah.
Or Sweet Spot.
Except you got it wrong.
No.
It's called higher or lower.
Nope.
Well,
Nope. We're on the air.
2-1.
Mine says so.
Majority rules.
Better or worse?
I love how this is just whatever.
That's the best comeback you had to that? That's the best comeback.
Take a little nap
had
and just say screw you both. I'm going to go hit the links. You guys do this. You guys got this? All right, great.
Where's Baco? Bring Baco back in here.
Oh, you
Let's
want
go.
to? Oh, be careful. Careful what you wish for, Smalls.
Stevie!
Esteban! By the way, Esteban's killing
I see Esteban on television. Did you see
he's
that?
killing it. The Cronkite School's killing it. No, Gibbe, we love you. We don't want you to go anywhere. Well, what do we want? Gibbe, when do we want him now?
Hey, what about Esteban? Wasn't he going to go to the Olympics?
He was.
Yeah,
and do that?
No,
Yeah.
he doesn't get to do that.
Can we bring him back? Can we bring
Possibly.
Stevie back?
We've had that conversation.
Wow.
I don't know what the intern policy.
Stevie!
I don't know what any policies are in this building these days. Because it's going to change
Who knows
5
what
times
July
between
will be
now
like.
and Friday.
Yeah. Well, July, certainly, yeah.
By
It's
the
hard
way,
to know what that'll be.
Baco listening to the show just
ahead.
said, I'm here. What do you need? This is the type of respect we look for from
He's
our
at the
huge
ready.
piece. He's at the ready.
I appreciate him being at the ready. Don't cater to them, Baco. Whatever you do, don't fall.
Oh, we're a team.
Zagura's
here, what do you
going to
need?
have you
We're a
like running. He's going to have you as his personal DoorDash
I'm here. What do you need?
concierge.
No way. What have I ever asked you to DoorDash for me?
I don't know.
Erroneous.
Amazing.
Erroneous.
I feel like I've made a few
Erroneous
runs.
on all counts.
Erroneous.
That's Stevie work.
Wow. That's right. That's for And we got
Yeah,
a
that's
lot
what
of
it is.
we have people.
You
We
remember?
have applications out the wazoo to be the next Stevie.
Do you remember when we sent Stevie to get us bucket hats?
I do remember. He's a man of consequence.
Strong.
He's a man of consequence.
He
Baco
was.
just said, "Give me."
And he
he'll
came
get
back,
You
he
his moving
delivered.
box. He'll get you moving boxes. Baco, cutthroat.
Baco.
Well, coming
He
for
sits
you.
in that chair for a few days, and he liked it. He liked the way
Yeah.
that felt.
Like,
Well.
I even got Baco a nice little gift for
To
filling
thank
in
him?
for me last week, and he still
Yeah.
hasn't come and picked it up.
A2 Brute.
How about you show some
well, there
class,
you go,
AB?
Baco.
Ooh,
Come get your
Baco, come into
Hey.
the studio. There's a gift for you.
Did you, by the way, and I'm sure part of the motivation for Baco in coming for your chair, Gibbe, is the Hall of Fame level creation of Brown's Therapy yesterday of you getting the light in Gibby's face, going from happy Gibby to bad Gibby leaving the podium.
Oh, it's so
It's
good.
fun.
Hold on. There
Real.
was
Brown's Therapy. What
I
a
had
job.
a,
What a job.
he had something yesterday.
Oh, my
By the
gosh.
way, have
that
you
was
guys
incredible.
seen-
Like, I've
and I
never
put it-
seen an
I kinda
emotional
put Brown's
change.
Therapy in his place a little bit.
Gibbe, you have
Oh,
to have
sad,
seen the
sad,
outpouring of support and the outpouring of just joy over this light. I mean, Twitter was ablaze.
not
It
hard
was
to see.
trending. The hashtag CBD light was trending.
So Brown's Therapy tweeted, Gibbs should be shamed. It took a fan of Brown's Daily to produce an on-air light for Nathan. Shame, Gibby, shame.
Yes, that's
To which I responded, there's no shame in my game, sir. Stay in your lane.
Oh, that was your big bird. Okay, that's
Yeah.
good to know.
There's no shame in my game.
No shame in Gibbe, but did you see what it's Gibbe? It's shame. It's Game of Thrones. It's the walk of shame from Game of Thrones. And I'm the sister.
It's all right.
And Gibbe's Cersei. Shame.
Do you ever?
Shame.
Do you know our on this front? One of the beautiful things of this show, and if you get the show, the story stealing that
Gibbe is so
happens.
good.
Is this a? Hey Z, on the story stealing, is that a S creation? Is he the creator of that?
He is. I think it's originally created by somebody named DeSico, and it was called a DeSico, but then S took it to a new level
To
and would just
elevated it.
And now it's spread like wildfire. It's spread like wildfire. Did you see? Are you going to refer to the tweet
Yeah.
that we just got about 12 minutes ago? Because it's the best.
Okay.
All right.
So
Yes. Go ahead.
So there's this is going back to like March 21,
Yep.
and it's the pardon my take guys with Baker. and they have like all of Baker's outtakes of his stuff with like Cooper Manning and PFT and all those guys and Big Cat, all that. And it's this guy Hammer on March 22nd goes, mentioned you in a tweet. And he said it best after he was drafted. You can hug him.
Quotes.
Okay.
You can
after
hug him.
he was drafted,
Yeah.
you can hug him. Okay. So then Jacob says on March 23rd, wasn't it Beau Bishop that beat that drum, or am I remembering that wrong? To which Hammer responds, to be fair, they both adopted it around draft time. Now, keep in mind, I wasn't even doing the show at draft time. Okay? Wasn't even doing on the show at draft time. I didn't even know you.
So it had to be me.
At draft time.
There you go.
I had only heard
It had to be
nefarious
me.
things about you
That's right.
at that point.
That's
I had
just
no
it.
idea the
Real
joy that you would bring my life over
Real
the low these many years. So it goes, to be fair, they both adopted it around draft time. I could be wrong. I think I remember that Nathan was the one that originally stated it. But either way, it was a very true belief. Exactly.
Yes, it's so true.
Exactly.
I was saying it. Bo was telling me, no, Tyrod Taylor, it's the organization.
Easy.
This is what we're doing. Focus on
Tyrod
Tyrod.
Taylor, we're going to
He's
stick
our
the
starter.
plan. Let's not worry
Let's
about
not
it. You
worry
kept
about
bugging me
not
every
getting
week.
reps. Yeah, no, it's the right
What's
thing.
going on with 6? You were calling him 6, all of that. How did,
Yeah. And then,
all of that stuff. And I was like, look.
And then the Four Horsemen thing happened. I mean, were you
That
you
was a
just
moment.
Surged to the
That-
lead. You surged right on through.
Surged right up through.
If there was ever an interview
That
that was like that where 6 would go, I'm never coming back on.
Not that one. He loved
Oh,
it.
no,
you
no,
got
no.
that- you couldn't have that
the
more
problem
wrong.
is the two
Could
of you
not
both
have had it
lost
more wrong.
You both
Could not have. He
to
loved
to
it.
maintain composure. Oh no, you both
We did. Play the tape. Play the tape.
Play the tape. We had complete composure.
Total.
You
Because
did
that's the
not.
beauty of it. There was nothing.
Zegura looked like
No,
when
erroneous.
someone says poop
Erroneous.
and you just kind of
This honestly
like
makes me
poop
sad.
humor. You had that look on your face right away.
Well, he did, but there's no way 6 saw it.
No. It was
He
a
was
quick,
right
It was
there.
a quick glance.
He was literally
No, he
right
was
across
locked
from
He
into
was
Bo's.
so thrilled.
He was locked into Bo's eyes. But the Four Horsemen, like,
Yeah.
Four Horse, that's
Oh,
genius.
my God.
That's genius, Bishop.
Genius. There's no
Who
question.
were those Four Horsemen?
There's no
that you so dubbed?
It's been so long.
It's hard to remember. Hard to remember.
Remember the quarterback room, coach and quarterback, head coach, quarterback room? I don't know.
Yeah.
Lindley,
that's
Stanton,
what it was. Yep.
Frederico,
Yep.
6. Yep.
That's right. That's right.
There you go.
And then there was one.
There you go. But that, to me, that series of tweets,
Great.
we've won as a show.
Yep. Victory.
We've won as a show.
Where's Johnny
because
Drama?
that is
Victory.
that is all. It's all so wrong. It's right.
Exactly. Some of the things that we don't
Perfect.
even remember who said anything. Oh, speaking of
No, correct.
speaking of show victories. Speaking of show victories, received this text yesterday.
Okay.
I sent a picture to a certain individual who had started the Lights Away Boys Lights Away campaign.
Yep, that's right.
I sent him a picture with me, thumbs up, the on-air light, full-on display from the studio yesterday. And this is what he said. And when you think about the gravity of this statement, this is a direct quote. Think about what the former Secretary of the Navy
Yep.
of the United States of America,
That's right.
Tom
Man of
Mobley said,
consequence.
quote, "My greatest accomplishment. Lights away, my boys. Lights away."
We've talked about a light for 5 minutes. It's riveting radio.
Awesome.
It is riveting
Awesome.
radio. I guarantee people
It is
are
for the
enjoying
Secretary
this.
of the Navy. That's all I know.
Listen, you should be happy. We got
Wow.
We're onto the light. Before it was
I
Baco.
can't wait till you screw it up and it's not on when you're talking. I'm going to take the
If
mother
5
of all
minutes goes,
victory
Baco
laps
coming
in that
for your
studio
job,
on,
Gibby.
on the live stream.
Hold on. Ben Crow just tweets in response to Gibby's "There's no shame in my game, Browns therapy." Burn said that is the weakest. I gave him a piece of my mind in history, sir. Sir, I resent that statement, sir.
I want you to know, like, I still respect Brown's therapy enough where I'm not going to take, like, those low personal
You don't want
attacks.
to.
No, when they
to
go
me-
low,
Taking.
we go high.
Yeah.
That's right.
We
Gibby.
don't. We're not that.
We're not
I
doing
love Brown's therapy.
I know.
It's all out of love.
I
I can't
think-
wait to
I
break
just
bread.
like
You want
how
to do some shots, Brown's therapy? Let me know.
You have to remember, you set it up as he said something, and you gave him a piece of your mind. That's how you set it up.
Base of his mind.
Right.
Yeah,
And
put him
knowing
in his place.
you, considering you texted the word dead to me 20 times, a piece of your mind can get to dark places, not just, hey,
It can
there's
get
no
dark
shame
quick.
in my game.
That's right.
No shame.
no shame.
I've called you a few other
I
things
would
in
say-
the last few weeks. One that you feel like is offensive, but I thought it was embraceful.
I don't know if we need to even discuss that.
No.
For the sake of all of our jobs,
not
and keep
embraceful.
Baco out of your seat for another day.
Hey, man.
Probably
I
best.
didn't mind working from home Monday.
We move on. Let's move off of that.
This has been a great better or worse, by the way. One of the best.
All right, better or worse? Go, Gibby.
Compliments of our good friend Dan Hansis at NFL.com. First and foremost, the Browns, they are number 7 post-free
You
agency
better believe it, baby.
in the NFL.com power rankings. Should they be better, worse, higher, lower, just right?
Better. Are you kidding me?
We're better than the Saints. They don't have Drew Brees.
And we're better than
We're
the
better
Ravens.
than the Ravens.
There, I said it.
I think we're 5th.
I think
We're
we're fifth.
fifth.
I think we're 5th.
All right.
I think we're very fairly 5th.
Yes.
All
Better
right.
than this. We're not better than the Saints.
The Saints with Jameis
I
or
don't know.
Taysom or the Raven, like
I'm going to
what
message
we've done with our
Sessler and see if we
defense.
get Hansis on to
He still
explain
has the
himself.
Steelers at 10.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
No.
I gotta.
Yeah.
I
And
might
I
have
like
to
Dan.
message him
We
and
like
have
him.
him
We
on.
like his lists.
Dan.
Yeah.
All right, Tampa Bay number 1. Number 2, the Kansas City Chiefs. Should they be higher, lower, or are they just right? Zegura.
Sweet spot. It's right where they should be. It's right there. They're favorites to win the AFC.
They lost like their entire offensive line.
Yeah, but then they signed Joe
Yeah, but they
Thuney,
got
Kyle
Thuney and
Long.
Long.
Come on.
Do we know
No.
what Kyle Long has left in the gas tank?
I think he'll be fine.
We don't. I know what Mahomes does. And there aren't many teams that have what the Bucks have. There aren't many teams that have Shaq Barrett, JPP, the ability to go get after the quarterback, and Ndamukong Suh, all those guys. There aren't many teams that are built like the Bucks are.
Yeah.
Bishop, do you agree?
That's where they need to be. They're 2, and they're real close to Tampa Bay. I don't know if you play that Super Bowl a bunch. I don't think it's going to go like that all the time.
No.
That could have gone another way. Sometimes trends happen in a game and you can't dig out of a hole. But no, they're right there.
All right, next, Nick, hit the sounder.
Higher or lower?
The Packers are number 3. The Bills are number 4.
sounder.
Takes us to number 5. And the Ratbirds. Baltimore is number 5. Should they be higher, lower, or are they just right? Bishop.
Well, they're worse than us, so I would have them slightly lower on this list. Slightly worser, if you will. I'd have them like 6, 7, somewhere in there. The Saints are the one that's troubling to me because of I don't know. Without Breeze, I don't know what they are. I think Baltimore will be better next year, earlier, and they're a legitimate threat. And I like the signing of Zeitler there. So I think they'll be very formidable next year. But I would have us ahead of them.
Same. We already said it.
Yeah, I think the Ravens and the Saints. I'm a little.
Saints. What are we talking about right here?
Saints
Who's
are
playing
ahead of
quarterback
that.
for them? You don't know who their quarterback is. He can't be ranked 6th.
No,
No.
I would agree. We'll skip over the Saints. Next.
Higher or lower?
We'll go to number 8 then. I'll throw this in. The Seattle Seahawks, ranked 8th. Should they be higher, lower, or are they just right? Zegura.
I'm going to have to put them a little bit lower. I think they're in a little bit of turmoil. And I'm not sure that they got better this offseason. Did they make any moves that I'm really unaware of?
Nothing that not that I certainly don't recall anything.
All right, here's who they've added to their profile so far here in the NFC West as I zoom down here. The Seahawks have added Gerald Everett, good tight end who had been with the Rams. Gabe Jackson, acquired in a trade. That's not bad. And they re-signed Apuna Ford, and they signed Akello Witherspoon, who had been pretty good when healthy for the Niners. But I know they lost some key pieces off of that defense as well. So they're still dangerous, but there's some tumult there. There's some real tumult, and I think tumult is difficult in the National Football League.
Yeah, it could become tumultuous.
Yeah.
I think the Rams are better.
I do too, right now. I think the Niners are better. I think
Right
people are
now,
sleeping on the Niners.
I think I was getting there to the Niners, but definitely the Rams are better. I mean, they've added Stafford and Deshaun Jackson. Stafford's an upgrade over Goff. Jackson, now they have someone to take the top off. I think the Rams are better than them. I don't know what happened there. I don't know, because they were a team for the first 8 games of the season, and they were a different team entirely at the end. And I do know you start to see Russell Wilson now is all back to the Go Hawks and being all excited for everything that they're doing, on social media and stuff. So, maybe there was a come to Jesus meeting there or something. I don't know, but I don't like it. I like the Rams. I think people forget how good the 49ers were.
Yeah.
And how many people they lost. And if Kyle can pull off like the Justin Field things, and I like Justin Fields a lot, so I root for that for him personally. But I think that would be a really sweet spot all the way around. But I think that Niners team's going to rebound pretty big.
I do too. Bring Alex Mack onto that line. That's a huge addition. They had been needing a center. He knows that offense very, very well. They retain their corners. Mosley's back. Verrett's back. K'Wan Williams is back. Jaquiski Tart is back.
They re-signed their top 4 in-house free agents.
Yep.
Kept them.
Zach Kerr, who played very well last year, is back. DJ Jones
They'll
back.
bounce back big.
Yeah. No, I think I like that. I think that division is going to be tough.
I think it's going to be tough, but I don't know if
it's the best division in football.
Does it live up to expectations?
Yes.
Because, no.
Yeah.
Because
hold 4 playoff teams.
Now, if Stafford gets hurt,
3 playoff teams.
They're a mess.
Oh.
Well, if Tom Brady gets hurt, the Bucs are a mess.
No. But, Stafford hasn't played a full season. And I don't know how
He's also
long.
never played in this.
The Rams got
he's never played
taken.
with this talent.
We took half of their secondary. The Rams.
Well, that's true.
The Rams
they do
have some
fair.
losses here.
Yeah. I like the Niners.
Yeah,
I think people are sleeping on the Niners.
But do you like the Niners if Jimmy G's your quarterback for the entire year?
Gibbe, over under on out of the last 10 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Last 11 seasons. How many times, guess stats with Gibbe, how many times has Matt Stafford played 16 games in the last 11 seasons?
6.
Oh, no.
10. Including last year.
I would not.
Where do you get this? He's hurt, Gibby.
I missed 8 games in
Gimmy's acting like
2019.
Wait a minute.
2011, 16-16. 2012, 16-16. 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17. 2018. From 2011 to 2018, didn't miss a game. 2019, missed half a season. 2020, played the whole season again.
He did play all last season?
That's right. 16 games, 16 starts. He
remember.
got knocked out
honestly,
of the end of
don't
one of
remember
a
that.
couple games at the end of the season.
Clearly. Gibby goes, I don't remember.
I honestly, I feel like every week I'm reading about Stafford being on an injury report.
He's tough, dude. He's
He
tough.
is. He's just tough.
He's tough.
He plays. That's why everybody loves him. That's why his
That's why they
teammates
love him.
love him. He plays with ribs and everything. They love him.
Love him. I got another guess the stats for you. Here you go.
No,
one more.
no.
So we had 11
The
seasons.
first one went so well. Let's run it
the
back
first
again.
one was perfect. Here's one for you. How many seasons out of we'll go 11 seasons. How many seasons out of 11 has Matt Stafford thrown 30 or more touchdown passes?
8.
You can give a number, Beau. Go ahead.
I'd go 11 or 10 or 11.
This is the most shocking of all. 2.
What?
See, the whole career doesn't make any sense.
41. He threw for 41 in 2011 when he threw for 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. The next year, 2012, 4,967 yards, 20 touchdowns. Then 29, 22, 32 in 2015, 24, 29, 21, 19, 26. That I would not have had. No way. I would have said at least 8.
No.
That's what
At
doesn't make
least.
any sense with that guy.
You know what though? It's a lot of losing.
Lot of
That's
losing.
where that is.
A lot of losing. He threw the ball in 2012, guys, 727 times in 16 games. They went 4-12, 727. He had 435 completions that season. That's outrageous.
I think he plays really well there.
I do too.
We'll see. Let's go next. I got to get a couple.
Higher or lower?
we already talked 49ers. We think they're going to be better. They came in at 12. Arizona ranked 16th. Higher, lower, or just right? Bishop, I'll start with you.
Well, they're better than Pittsburgh. He's got Pittsburgh 10, so
Yes.
I think they're better than Pittsburgh. I think they're better than the Chargers, considering the losses the Chargers have. I think they're better than the Dolphins. They definitely should be higher. I would probably have them somewhere in the 10 to 12 range.
Zegura.
Same. I agree. I think they're better. It's interesting that he's got all 4 NFC West teams in the top 16, but I don't believe that he's got them ranked adequately.
Correctly or accurately.
Yeah.
In the right order or in the right spots.
Correct.
Final one.
He's hating on the NFC West, it feels like.
Higher or lower?
Patriots ranked 20th. Spend a bunch of money. Not sure if they're any better because I don't think they have a quarterback. Should they be higher, lower, or are they just right? Bishop, you.
Well, they're better than 20, I think.
Yeah.
They're better than Washington. They're better than the football team. I think they're better than the Raiders. I think they're better than the Dolphins. I think they'll be dramatically better. Obviously, they can't help but be better defensively, and they have 2 good tight ends now. And I'm so sick of watching them on television, but I am I'm as curious about how they go about their business as any team in the league. I'm fascinated with what they're going to do and what it's going to look like, and if they're just going to try to bully people, and if they can, frankly, if they can.
They have look. They were 7-9 a year ago in what felt like a completely disastrous failed season. They are better than they were a year ago, and I'd say significantly so. I think that they're better than 20. I think the Washington football team is being totally disrespected. Fitzpatrick and Curtis Samuel, great additions. That's a tremendous defense. I like
really good defense.
I like where they're at. The Vikings are a team that I'm not nearly as sold on that's ranked ahead of these teams. So I think the Patriots are better. I think the Washington football team is better than where it's ranked.
I think the Colts, he's got the Colts too high too. I mean, that you're banking on Wentz being really good, which he hasn't been in a while. So he was disastrous last year. He was almost like Markelle Fultz, like he forgot how to play last year.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Remember?
I do remember.
Remember we had Sal Pal on? He was not having it.
Sal Pal was
not
done.
Having it. Not having it.
He was out on the Wentz era.
Not at all. All right. Good job out of you, Gibby. Cody Benjamin, NFL writer, CBS Sports, calling in. He's got the 5 best or worst free agent signings. Guess what? We end up on the good side of that. We'll get his perspective on it coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. If your game plan for the season includes buying or selling a home, Howard Hanna Real Estate Services has you covered. Visit howardhanna.com/GoBrowns today. Time to head on that fifth third money line for a visit with Cody Benjamin, NFL writer at CBSSports.com. His article, you can read it right now at CBSSports.com, the 5 best and worst free agent signings. He has our guy John Johnson III, number 4th best on his list. There's a lot, and this has been fun because this was somebody that Andrew Berry identified early. He went and got, and the praise has been heaping in. Cody, what do you love about the signing of Johnson and the fit here in Cleveland?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate the chance to come and talk with you. I just think that, as soon as the Browns, finalize that deal, I think, honestly, the praise is justified. I mean, you're seeing it come in from all kinds of outlets, all kinds of circles, because there was no question going into free agency that, there were a couple young up-and-coming safeties that were set to hit the market. You're looking at guys like Marcus May. John Johnson was right up there. And so, frankly, when those numbers came out, I think they're getting him at a great value. I mean, John Johnson obviously getting a good contract here, $11.25 million a year. That's what's been reported. But still, Cleveland, they've been looking for safety help for years. Sometimes with a bigger name, sometimes with kind of plug-and-play depth guys. But I just think that he's a building block where you can really plug him in at the back end and he's a rangy guy. He's not afraid to tackle. I think he does everything well. And so I think he's going to make the rest of that secondary better. So it's a great building block for the short and the long term.
It is for the Browns. And, if you're saying how do we get better at the back end, you look to the number 1 pass defense in the league, and John Johnson comes in. He's going to give Joe Woods that flexibility to play the 3 safeties. But what did you think also of the addition of Troy Hill, who had an excellent season last year, 3 defensive touchdowns to come in and play that slot on another what looks like a pretty team-friendly deal as well?
Yeah, I think you're talking about another steal. I mean, I know initially it was reported as a 4-year deal. Those voidable years turned it into a 2-year deal, and that's right where you want to be with a guy like him. I mean, they're paying him. The numbers that have been reported are fair for a slot corner. He's proven he's done it well on a good Rams defense. We've seen examples of guys coming out of that same position with the Rams and not necessarily living up to it elsewhere. I'm thinking specifically of Nickel Roby-Coleman. At one point was a really highly regarded slot corner. Didn't do too well in Philadelphia last year, but he was also put into a kind of an unfavorable position, being pushed outside. And so you look at Troy Hill, I think he's got more upside. And when he's playing alongside John Johnson, Greedy Williams, Denzel Ward, if those guys can stay healthy, and that's a big key there. The Browns, you're quietly looking at a really good secondary. Health is, again, that's an X factor. But, you couldn't have probably asked for better value deals there at safety and cornerback.
No, not yet. I mean, we feel that way as well, Cody. And I think as we flip it to the other side of the ball, and you among your 13 most underrated additions, Hollywood Higgins coming back as an underrated addition. Here's another thing that's pretty remarkable from our perspective. We're essentially running it back, and not just depth chart, offensive line, skill positions, all of that, but also coaching staff. And this was an offense last year that at times was one of the most explosive in the league, and over the course of the year was one of the most explosive. And now you have a full offseason for everybody to work in this Kevin Stefanski offense. You could certainly understand here in the building why there's tremendous excitement about this roster going forward. What do you like about that, and what do you think this team can be offensively next year with basically the exact same cast?
Yeah, I think, for a couple years, the hype was there with the Browns, and it maybe wasn't fully realized. I now feel like we're at the stage where obviously the Browns have gotten over that hump. They've gotten back to the playoffs. They had Kevin Stefanski in his basement and nearly dropped, 50 points against the Steelers in the playoffs. I mean, the trajectory is pointing up. And I think that, if anything, the Browns are a little underrated right now. And I think that you're hitting the nail on the head talking about running it back, but not just that, you're running it back healthier. All indications are that they're going to be healthier this year because you're not going to, chances are you're not losing a guy like Odell Beckham. You're not losing, both your corners for a majority of the season. I just think that, everything is pointing towards, again, on paper is a different story than, week 3 and a freak injury happens or or this play call doesn't go the way you plan. But, yeah, you look up and down the roster. I think Baker Mayfield, there might still be debate about whether he's a star quarterback. He doesn't have to be in this offense. I mean, the Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt for a full season, Odell Beckham back, Rashard Higgins again. Yeah, I think he's an underrated piece there. I mean, he stepped up, made some plays down the field. The offensive line is set. I think the Browns should be considered, favorites going into this year in that division, because the Steelers, while they may say they're in win-now mode, bringing Ben Roethlisberger back, I mean, I think there's no question. You look up and down the Browns roster, and it's just better.
And it's been a long time since we could say that, and it's a wonderful thing to hear, because you do like the roster. It gives you confidence going into the season. As you look at this Browns team post-free agency with some of the additions that you've already talked about, what's left? And we feel it's so unique for us to go into a draft where there isn't a glaring need, at least not in the starting lineup. Sure, there's some depth stuff, but where if you're, where you're looking at this roster, where do you still think the Browns need to add some pieces?
Yeah, I think, depth stuff is important. And, as we saw last year with the Browns, they were able to kind of weather the storm at certain positions, even premium positions like wide receiver. But you need to be prepared for that. I don't necessarily think offensively they're lacking much at any position. I mean, I think Case Keenum, great backup at quarterback. Kareem Hunt can obviously fill in. Rashard Higgins, I mean, every skill position seems to be set. I mean, I think you're looking at defense. Even though John Johnson was added at safety and should be a good, solid starter, Troy Hill should be a great nickel corner. Mentioned earlier the injuries, and I know you guys have talked about it as well. When you're starting outside corners are almost a given not to be available for a full season, there has to be an investment there. I mean, there are a handful of guys still in free agency where you could easily sign them to a one-year deal after the draft. Maybe a Bashad Breeland. I mean, there are guys like that where you can plug them in if needed. But ideally, yeah, you're drafting a guy at corner outside. I would also look at linebacker. I mean, Anthony Walker, I think, is an underrated addition, another one coming over from the Colts. But, you need more than that at linebacker as well. But these are honestly nitpicky things. I don't want to build up the Browns too much because they still have to go out and perform. But really, this is about drafting best available. And I think if you're looking at positions of need, I'd go linebacker and corner.
Cody, let's do the NFL at large. Who won in the last week? Who are the big winners in your mind, and who are some teams that you say, well, I just don't know what they were thinking here?
Yeah, I think it's easy to, it's kind of sometimes every offseason it can be a little bit of a cop-out to say the teams that were just in the Super Bowl kind of perform well in the offseason, but that has been, especially the case in my eyes this offseason, specifically with Tampa Bay. It's not often you see a team win a Super Bowl and then retain, you can discount, I guess, Leonard Fournette, who may or may not be back, but every other major piece. You're talking about Shaquille Barrett, Chris Godwin, Levante David, Rob Gronkowski. I mean, the list goes on. And the great thing about their investments there, aside from maybe Gronkowski, David, who are short-term pieces, Chris Godwin and Shaquille Barrett, they could be around for the next 5-7 years. I mean, these are smart moves that the Buccaneers are making. I think the Chiefs, in a similar way, they paid a lot to get Joe Thuney. But, protecting Patrick Mahomes is key, and so I like what they did there. The Browns would be right, not too far behind those teams, to be honest. I think they didn't overpay. They made smart investments. On the flip side, you're looking at teams that maybe, you're scratching your head. I think the Andy Dalton move has gotten a lot of criticism in Chicago, and, Andy Dalton, he's a good guy from what I understand. He knows the system, but I don't see much of an upgrade going from Mitchell Trubisky or Nick Foles to Andy Dalton there, especially when you need to win. But really, Houston and Jacksonville have me kind of scratching my head. I mean, those are two teams that had money to spend, and they've spent money. They're just not spending it on guys that I would consider, top 10, top 15, top 20 starters. I mean, those are teams, you look at Jacksonville, that's a team that probably should have paid John Johnson to play safety. So I see a lot of names going into Jacksonville and Houston, but not a whole lot of premium talent.
What do you make of what the Patriots did, and what do you think was the motivation behind their spending spree, which was very uncharacteristic? And even Robert Kraft said, we used to laugh at teams that spent, but we're trying to win, and we felt that there were inefficiencies in this market we could exploit.
Yeah, I think it'd be, crazy to suggest that there's no motivation stemming from, kind of a historic sitting out of the playoffs in 2020. I mean, I don't know that this is Bill Belichick's, kind of revenge tour against, Tom Brady. I think it's more just, look, we don't like sitting out the postseason, and we didn't give Cam Newton help. I'm not necessarily of the belief that Cam Newton is or should be the short-term answer there at quarterback, but the draft is still coming. I fall kind of in the middle. I think that there are probably two camps with the Patriots, in terms of opinions. Mostly, I think that there's a lot of people that say, look at all this money they're spending on no good players. And there's the other camp that's saying, wow, Bill Belichick is going out and he's lighting the free agency period on fire. I fall right in the middle. I mean, I think that, it's pretty clear they overpaid for some of these players. I mean, Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, they're big names in free agency, but, you're not putting them in the top 5, top 7 tight ends on a regular basis. And so, yes, they overpaid, but if you look at their roster now as opposed to the end of last season, I mean, it looks incredibly different. You've got starters at important positions like Matt Judon at edge rusher. Having 2 solid tight ends is going to be huge regardless of who's playing quarterback. So I think that I fall in the middle. Are these moves going to put them back in the championship window? Absolutely not until they figure out quarterback. But are they much better than they were at the end of last season? I think there's no question.
Cody, good stuff, man. Appreciate your time. Thanks for giving us a little bit of it today.
Hey, thanks so much. Appreciate you having me on.
All right, that's Cody Benjamin, NFL writer at CBSSports.com. And just a reminder, all guests who appear on Cleveland Browns Daily do so via the Fifth Third Money Line, Fifth Third Bank, making Cleveland Browns Daily a Fifth Third better. Still so much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, final segment here on a First Friday, on your First Friday. You pointed this out in the break. Adam Schefter reporting T.Y. Hilton expect to return to the Colts. 1-year deal there per source. We're in 1-year deal time, my friend. That's where we're at.
Yep, and I think that's to your point that there could be some guys out there that are interesting to the Browns at either defensive end or corner to bring a little more veteran stability that you could get 1-year deals at, reduced rates at this point. And I think guys that are still out there did not find the market for themselves that they wanted. And so there are two things you can do. One, you can chase a ring and go for a 1-year deal, try to go to a team that looks like it has good Super Bowl opportunities like the Cleveland Browns. You can wait for an injury, wait all the way until training camps come and wait for injuries to drive up, the value for you as a veteran who probably feels like I don't need to participate in a full off-season program. So those are the options to the guys that are out there at this point. That's it. Those are the options. But a guy
that's it, man.
Yeah, a guy like Kerrigan that we talked about earlier, seems to make a lot of sense to me from the standpoint of there's a 1-year guy that can help you get after the quarterback, right? And that's at this point, that's what we're looking for, or we're looking for corners that are still out there. And if you think about the guys that have not yet signed, these are all candidates to do what we were talking about. And if somebody has signed, it's more recent. This page was updated at NBC Sports, but Clowney, Dunlop, Melvin Ingram, Justin Houston, Kerrigan, Everson Griffin, Alden Smith, all of those guys on a 1-year could make some sense, could still bring something to this football team. And then go to the cornerback position, and you're looking for people who can help you maybe outside. There still are some veterans that can do that. Bashad Breeland, who played for the Super Bowl champions 2 years ago. A.J. Bouye is still out there. Richard Sherman at a top end. Casey Hayward, Malcolm Butler. These guys, in their 30s who could contribute and perhaps, help you lock some things down on the outside. Garyon Conley, that's a name we had still heard. He's only 25. Maybe that's somebody that you kick the tires on a very cheap at this point.
That profile, doesn't it?
Yeah, a very
really
cheap 1-year deal.
Sure. All of it, yeah.
I mean, there's still plenty of guys out there. Marquez Denard's still out there. Drake Kirkpatrick is still out there. It's wild.
Do you think this will be something that you see? You think you will see these trickle in before the draft, or you think teams will wait till after the draft on some of these guys?
I think you'll still see a trickling, like we're still seeing some people, here, there, et cetera. But I think for the most part, I think once the draft shakes out, and teams go through their undrafted free agents and take a look at things and say, okay, we still need to make an addition here or there. But I think it's earlier this offseason, I think you said it very well, that this is going to be kind of like baseball, where it's not you had that first rush, but now just think of the names I said. That's only 2 positions. There's still tons of quality NFL veterans in free agency.
Yeah, there was. It was this incredible rush out of the first couple of days for all of the a lot of the big money guys. I was shocked at the money like Galladay got over the weekend.
Same.
The money that he got from the Giants really surprised me. And some of their moves have been a little surprising to me that have happened out of there. But it has gone that way, and so there's going to be some deals here to be made, and we're in a great spot, man. We're in a really great spot to continue to improve this team with the draft and with this coming up. And it's a weird thing to think about the possibilities. I'm so thrilled with the next month of draft conversation, which will probably be primarily what we discuss the next month here on the show, with this notion of it could go any way.
Right.
It could go any way. And that's fun to think about the possibilities, to see a name that drops down the list and you go, okay, well, this guy felt what an opportunity. Come on, fall one more spot, and then we can pick up somebody that maybe had rated in the top 10, and that's what we're going to have the ability to do in the draft, which is something we haven't been in a position to do in a very, very
1 minute.
No, and I agree with you. I think that's what, in some ways, that's what makes this exciting, right? That's what allows you to, have that flexibility to get better. Gibbe, talk to us.
Today's Ohio Lottery Keep It Fun poll, 70% agree with Beau Bishop. It's the greatest March weather.
Greatest March ever. Let's go. And it's not done.
It's not done. More great days. Next week's going to be great. And at the beginning of next week, fantastic.
What a treat.
Great time to be alive. Enjoy your first Friday, kids. Make sure that you do. Take full advantage of it. We're back tomorrow. The next level is coming up.